Hello friends. What happens when the optimistic fire of Sagittarius meets the gentle, grounded charm of the pig from the Chinese zodiac? You get a rare breed of human. A walking paradox of freedom and loyalty, wild-hearted but wise-souled. These people burn with a curious flame, yet they walk through life with a quiet grace. They are dreamers who deliver, lovers who laugh, and friends who stay. But what exactly are they like in love, in friendship, at work, or when things go dark? Let's dive into the personality of someone born under the sign of Sagittarius in the year of the pig. Love, a romantic tornado with a gentle soul. Imagine falling in love with someone who turns everyday life into a movie scene, who stops mid-walk just to admire the way the sunlight hits a building, or who casually suggests a weekend trip to Iceland just because they saw a documentary about it last night. That's the energy of a Sagittarius born in the year of the pig. Their love is not a cautious dip into the water. It's a full dive, clothes on, heart open, no lifeguard in sight. When they fall, they don't calculate risk, they embrace it. They love as if it's the first time every time, and that level of sincerity can be both intoxicating and overwhelming to anyone on the receiving end. Their romantic style is spontaneous, unfiltered, and overwhelmingly sincere. Expect big gestures, deep gazes, and constant curiosity about your soul. But this isn't the chaotic love of someone who can't commit. That's the magic of the pig influence. It tempers Sagittarius's usual restlessness with warmth, grounding, and a desire for genuine emotional closeness. While Sagittarians usually fear being tied down, the pig brings a surprising softness, a craving for stability and shared dreams. They're not flirtatious for the sake of ego, they're romantic for the sake of connection. They long for someone who can share in both the madness and the magic. They don't just want a partner, they want a companion, a muse, a best friend, someone who understands that love isn't a cage but a pair of wings. And communication? This is where they truly shine. They'll want to know everything about you, not just your favorite color or your music taste, but what made you cry when you were 6, what scares you about the future, what you secretly wish for late at night. Their emotional curiosity knows no bounds. They're not afraid of your mess. In fact, they find beauty in your vulnerability. For them, love is built in the quiet moments, the shared silences, the inside jokes, and the things you tell each other in the dark. They crave a relationship that is intellectually engaging, emotionally fulfilling, and spiritually expansive. They don't settle for surface-level bonds, they dive straight into the deep end. And yes, they're deeply sensual. Their sexual energy is a mirror of their emotional one, generous, honest, exploratory. They're the kind of lovers who notice what makes you smile, what makes you flinch, what makes you melt. Sex with them is less about routine and more about presence. They bring a blend of playful adventure and heartfelt affection to the bedroom, sometimes laughing, sometimes whispering, sometimes just holding you like it's the last night on earth. They don't need luxury to feel connected, they need honesty. They view sex as an extension of trust, a sacred space where two people show up as their most honest selves. And they're constantly seeking ways to evolve and deepen that bond. However, if you betray them, emotionally, physically, or spiritually, it cuts deep. And while they might not explode in anger or create dramatic scenes, their reaction is unforgettable in its quiet finality. They'll pull away, retreat into themselves, and vanish with a kind of dignity that haunts. The Sagittarius in them doesn't believe in second chances for betrayal, and the pig in them holds onto the wound for far longer than they let on. You may see a smile, even hear forgiveness, but make no mistake, they rarely, if ever, forget. And they will never return to a love that made them feel small, unseen, or unsafe. Their version of love is not one that tolerates emotional games. They're drawn to clarity, integrity, and a kind of fearless emotional honesty. If you lie, manipulate, or consistently fail to show up for them, you won't just lose them, you'll lose their trust forever. They give their hearts fully, but only once. If you want to keep a Sagittarius pig, you must be brave enough to love them openly, consistently, and with the same courage they bring into every romantic connection. Ultimately, to be loved by a Sagittarius pig is to be seen, truly, deeply, vulnerably seen, and still chosen, celebrated, and protected. Their love is rare, wild, warm, and healing. It's the kind of love that changes you, not by force, but by example. They teach you how to feel again, how to laugh louder, how to dream bigger, and how to believe in something even when life has made you cynical. Their heart is a home built on freedom, faith, and fierce loyalty, and if you're lucky enough to be let in, don't take it for granted. Marriage, the fire that learns to settle. At first glance, the concept of marriage might seem like an ill-fitting suit for someone born under Sagittarius in the year of the pig. Too tight, too structured, too static for a soul wired for exploration and freedom. But don't be fooled. While the Sagittarian spirit naturally resists confinement and sameness, the pig's influence brings a powerful yearning for warmth, emotional security, and lasting companionship. Together, they create a personality that doesn't just tolerate marriage, they transform it into something dynamic, expansive, and full of magic. This is not the person who sees marriage as a checklist item. For them, it must be a grand love story, a lifelong creative partnership, a garden they're willing to tend every day, as long as it never becomes a cage. In the early years of their romantic journey, the Sagittarius pig may flirt with the idea of commitment like it's a dance, stepping close, then back, then in again, cautious but curious. Their fear is not of love itself, but of stagnation. They fear becoming invisible within a routine, of watching their dreams dull under the weight of domestic expectation. But once they meet someone who ignites their mind and respects their need for evolution, the shift is dramatic. Suddenly, the idea of marriage becomes not a trap, but a shared vehicle for adventure. They marry not because they need to, but because they want to grow deeper roots with someone who understands their complexity. Their partner becomes a fellow dreamer, a fellow builder, a fellow believer in love that expands rather than contracts. What sets a Sagittarius pig apart in marriage is their unique blueprint for domestic life. Their home is never just walls and windows, it's a sanctuary of ideas, humor, and creativity. They're the kind of spouse who rearranges the living room furniture just because the vibe needed freshening up, or who starts planning a trip to Nepal over dinner without blinking. They see marriage as an evolving canvas, and they want to paint it with wild colors, shared projects, inside jokes, and plenty of soulful conversations. This is a couple who might start a podcast together, grow their own vegetables, or raise their kids to speak 3 languages, just because they believe in the beauty of possibility. At the same time, the pig's earthy nature shows up in their nurturing qualities. They're not just passionate and fun, they're incredibly caring. They remember your schedule, make you soup when you're sick, and bring home small surprises just because they saw something that reminded them of you. There's a calm steadiness beneath their fire that gives their partner a sense of being deeply seen and supported. Even their quirks, like journaling about dream symbolism or adopting a stray cat on a whim, carry a kind of endearing charm. They bring lightness to marriage, but also a fierce sense of duty to their family, their vows, and the life they are building together. But make no mistake, this balance is delicate. While they give generously, they also require emotional breathing room. If their spouse attempts to dull their shine with monotony, guilt, or controlling behaviors, the Sagittarian fire will begin to flare. They'll start retreating into their own world, becoming distant, distracted, or restless. Their natural reaction to emotional confinement is escape, emotionally first, then physically if things don't change. Their loyalty is immense, but it has limits. They will fight for the relationship, but only if their spirit is respected. They cannot be tamed or micromanaged. The healthiest marriages for them are ones that support their evolution, not ones that resist it. They also need to feel intellectually and emotionally inspired by their partner. Small talk and surface-level intimacy won't satisfy them in the long run. They want someone who will challenge their ideas, support their ambitions, and join them in deep, meaningful conversations. Their soulmate is someone who can hold their own in a debate, laugh during the chaos of life, and stay curious about the world. They are not looking for a mirror, they are looking for a flame that burns beside their own. Long-term, these are spouses who age beautifully in love. Time doesn't dull them, it deepens them. As they mature, they often grow more rooted, more centered, but never boring. The wanderlust may slow down, but the desire for shared experiences never fades. They become the couple that's still taking dance lessons at 60, still hiking new trails, still learning new things together. Their bond becomes a testament to love as a living thing, something that must be fed with attention, adventure, and kindness. Ultimately, marriage to a Sagittarius pig is not about roles, it's about rhythm. It's about two people learning to move in sync while honoring their individuality. It's about building a life where passion and peace can coexist, where each person is seen in their wholeness, and where love is a daily choice, not an obligation. They don't just want to be married. They want to make marriage into something radiant, something real, joyful, evolving, and unapologetically alive. Sex, a balance of fire and velvet. To understand the sexual nature of someone born under Sagittarius in the year of the pig, you have to understand one essential truth: they are equal parts flame and velvet. Their sexuality is not just about physical contact, it's about chemistry, emotion, mood, and energy. Yes, they can be wildly passionate, but it's never reckless. There's intention behind every kiss, every glance, every brush of the hand. They don't crave chaos, they crave connection. Sex, for them, is sacred, not in a heavy or rigid sense, but in the way it becomes a space of raw truth, pleasure, and soul-level communication. They treat it as both art and alchemy, a place where they can meet their partner on every level: body, heart, and spirit. They are imaginative lovers, but not in a way that feels performative or self-centered. Their creativity in the bedroom is driven by curiosity, not ego. They want to know what makes you melt, what makes you feel safest, what turns you on in ways that maybe even you haven't fully explored yet. And they approach that discovery process with tenderness and humor. There's often a playfulness to their sensuality, a flirtatious glance, a teasing comment, a slow build of anticipation. But underneath it all is a depth that surprises many. They are not content with surface-level intimacy. They want sex to mean something, even if it's spontaneous or casual. Emotional presence is the true aphrodisiac for them. They're not afraid of novelty, in fact, they're energized by it. New positions, new fantasies, new places to explore, all of it excites them. But they are never pushy. Consent and mutual interest are non-negotiable. Their sense of ethics in sex is deeply rooted in empathy and care. They want both people to feel empowered, respected, and completely engaged. If their partner isn't into something, they don't sulk or withdraw. They adapt, they listen, they tune in, because for the Sagittarius pig, sexual fulfillment is a mutual art form. It's not about performance or conquest, but about co-creation. They have a gift for creating ambiance. Their sensuality thrives on mood and atmosphere. They might light candles, choose a specific playlist, or initiate things with a whisper rather than a demand. Their touch can be soft and reverent one moment, then bold and unfiltered the next. They read the room, and the body, like an intuitive. Eye contact is powerful to them. Foreplay is not just a prelude, it's often their favorite part. They love teasing, building, and extending the moment until both people are fully locked in, emotionally and physically. And while they don't need things to be elaborate, they appreciate when sex feels like a shared escape from the world. But don't confuse emotional depth with predictability. They have a wild side, and it shows up when the energy is right. That spontaneity might look like initiating sex in an unexpected setting, a secluded beach, a parked car, or even the kitchen floor. They enjoy keeping things fresh, surprising their partner, and leaning into the moment. They're not reckless, they're alive. Their eroticism has rhythm and intention, but also a delicious edge of mischief. They love the idea of shared secrets, hidden touches, or sneaking away from a party just to kiss you like they can't wait another second. What truly sets them apart is the way they merge emotional intimacy with physical desire. For the Sagittarius pig, sex is rarely just about release, it's about recognition. It's about saying, "I see you, I feel you, I want all of you," without using a single word. They are lovers who linger, who ask how it felt, who touch you after it's over just to make sure you still feel held. And afterward, they're the type to make you tea, play your favorite song, or lie silently beside you just breathing in your presence. For them, the connection doesn't end when the lights go out, it deepens. Their sensual memory is long. If they had an unforgettable night with you 6 years ago, they remember how you smelled, what you said, how your eyes looked when the world fell away. They're not collectors of bodies, they're collectors of moments. And if they truly connect with you, they'll carry that spark for a long time, maybe forever. Whether in a committed relationship or a brief encounter, they bring the same level of sincerity and care. They want to be remembered not just as good lovers, but as the kind of people who made you feel beautiful, valued, and utterly alive. So if you find yourself tangled up with a Sagittarius pig, expect more than fireworks. Expect presence, play, warmth, wonder, and a kind of intimacy that lingers in your bones. They don't just make love, they create an experience, one you'll never forget. Friendship, ride or die with a sense of humor. Being friends with a Sagittarius born in the year of the pig is like having a permanent backstage pass to life's most spontaneous, supportive, and soul-nourishing moments. These are the people who will notice when your energy shifts, when your voice wavers, when you're pretending you're fine but your eyes say otherwise, and they'll do something about it. They won't just listen to your rants, they'll hear you. They'll sit with you through your storms, never judging, never rushing you to get over it, and somehow still make you laugh through your tears. Friendship to them isn't transactional or casual. It's a chosen form of love, one they take just as seriously as romance or family. When they choose you as a friend, it's not a temporary alliance, it's a soulful, unspoken vow. They don't collect acquaintances or engage in social fluff. Their circle is tight, and they like it that way. They crave depth, and they gravitate toward people who are real, flawed, curious, passionate, and emotionally available. Shallow small talk bores them. What they're drawn to are midnight conversations about fears, dreams, and conspiracy theories you don't tell anyone else. They don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be you. In fact, they thrive on uniqueness. If you're weird, intense, or always chasing some bizarre goal, you're exactly their kind of person. Their friendships are often built on shared philosophies, unfiltered honesty, and a whole lot of laughter that comes from living life a little left of center. Loyalty is where they shine brightest. This isn't the friend who says, "Let me know if you need anything." This is the friend who shows up before you've even figured out how to ask. They'll help you pack your apartment, walk your dog at 3 a.m. if you're stuck at work, or fly across the country just to see you through a breakup. And they don't do it to score points. They do it because your pain becomes their pain, and your joy becomes their joy. They believe in showing up, over and over again, even when life gets messy. Even when you get messy. They're the type to remember what kind of coffee you drink, how you like your eggs, and the name of your childhood dog, all because they care deeply about the details that make you you. But here's the caveat: their loyalty doesn't come with constant contact. They might disappear for a bit, not because they don't love you, but because they need to recharge and reconnect with themselves. Solitude is essential to them. They are wanderers at heart, philosophical, introspective, and always chasing some kind of inner truth. Sometimes, that means going off the grid without warning. They don't ghost, they retreat. And when they return, it's like no time has passed. You'll pick up right where you left off, and they'll probably come back with a wild story involving a stranger they met in a bookstore or a personal revelation sparked by a mountain sunset. And they'll want to share it all with you, because in their mind, true friendship is a living, evolving thing. Their sense of humor is its own love language. It ranges from sharp and sarcastic to completely ridiculous, often within the same conversation. They're the friend who can roast you and heal your soul in the same sentence. They use humor as a way to connect, to lighten the weight of life, and to help you feel seen in your weirdest, most vulnerable moments. They're not afraid to look silly if it'll make you smile, and they're not afraid to call out life's absurdities, especially when the world feels overwhelming. Their laughter is medicine, and when they laugh with you, it's their way of saying, "I see you. I get you. You're safe here." They are also incredibly intuitive when it comes to emotional undercurrents. If you're acting fine but silently falling apart, they'll notice. They may not always know how to fix it, but they'll stay close, ask the right questions, and offer the kind of emotional grounding most people only find in therapy. They're surprisingly wise, and their advice is often filled with compassion wrapped in humor. You'll walk away from conversations with them feeling lighter, clearer, and maybe even inspired to do that one brave thing you've been avoiding. In conflict, they're not the type to explode, but they do value boundaries and truth. If they feel betrayed or disrespected, they'll withdraw, not out of spite, but out of self-preservation. They don't like drama, but they won't tolerate dishonesty or manipulation. If a friendship stops feeling safe, they'll quietly step back. And once that trust is broken, it's hard to win back. They'll wish you well from afar, but their circle is sacred, and once you're out, it's rarely reversible. To have a Sagittarius Pig as a friend is to have a teammate for the soul. A hype squad, a secret keeper, a philosopher, and a stand-up comic all rolled into one. They'll challenge you to grow, support you when you stumble, and celebrate you when you finally take flight. They're not just friends for the good times, they're the ones who walk with you through the fire, keep you laughing in the ashes, and help you rebuild the parts of yourself you forgot were worthy of love. If you're lucky enough to earn their friendship, protect it, because you won't find another like them. Business, visionaries with gentle power. In the world of business, a Sagittarius born in the year of the pig is a fascinating contradiction. A dreamer with drive, a risk-taker with deep-rooted ethics, a creative thinker who still values collaboration and structure. They're not content with just making money, they want their work to matter. They want it to inspire, to improve lives, to change something, even if just a little, for the better. That's where their Sagittarian vision kicks in. They're always several steps ahead, scanning the horizon for opportunity, innovation, and impact. They imagine what's possible, not just what's practical, and they bring a natural excitement to any venture they believe in. But what makes them truly unique is the influence of the pig, gentle, grounded, and emotionally intelligent. It keeps them honest, compassionate, and loyal, even in competitive industries where those traits are often rare. Their style of leadership is unconventional but deeply effective. They lead from the heart, not the ego. They don't yell, intimidate, or micromanage. Instead, they motivate through clarity, vision, and emotional connection. Their team members feel seen, valued, and empowered, and that's not accidental. They work hard to cultivate trust because they understand that genuine collaboration only happens when people feel safe and inspired. You'll rarely find them putting on a mask in the workplace. What you see is what you get. Someone who works hard, dreams big, listens well, and expects everyone around them to do their part with integrity. Their presence often uplifts the energy of a room without demanding attention. They influence quietly but powerfully. They are at their absolute best in environments where creativity and purpose intersect. Give them a mission, not just a paycheck. They're the ones who will bring bold strategies to a nonprofit's funding campaign or turn a stagnant company's brand into something people suddenly care about. Corporate bureaucracy? It crushes them. Monotonous repetition? It dulls their fire. But give them a project that stretches their imagination and touches their values, and you'll watch them thrive in ways that seem effortless. They have no interest in doing things the way they've always been done. In fact, they'll question outdated models, challenge stale leadership, and introduce new approaches that might make traditionalists nervous, but that's exactly what makes them valuable. Innovation isn't optional for them, it's instinct. Entrepreneurship is a natural path for many Sagittarius pigs. They're not afraid to start from zero, and they genuinely enjoy the chaos and possibility of the build phase. They come up with wild ideas, yes, but they also have the persistence to turn those ideas into actual businesses. The Sagittarius brings the big picture thinking, while the pig ensures follow through with patience and consistency. They're often found launching passion-driven ventures, wellness brands, ethical fashion lines, community-based startups, creative agencies, educational platforms, or anything that blends meaning with momentum. They're also excellent at building teams, especially when they handpick collaborators who complement their strengths and share their vision. The result is often a company culture that's relaxed but driven, inclusive but efficient, and emotionally intelligent at every level. That said, their biggest professional weakness is also their greatest strength: they care too much. They say yes to too many things because they genuinely want to help. They overwork because they believe in the mission. They take on extra responsibilities, stay late, and push through exhaustion because they don't want to let others down. And while their work ethic is admirable, it comes at a cost. Burnout is a constant risk. They'll give and give until they hit a wall, physically, mentally, emotionally, and by the time they realize it, they're already depleted. It's not because they lack boundaries on purpose, it's because they struggle to recognize when their empathy becomes a liability. Learning to pause, delegate, and occasionally say no without guilt is the lesson they must learn if they want to sustain their brilliance over time. Despite this, they tend to bounce back. Resilience is embedded in their DNA. And once they've learned that lesson, once they've hit burnout and rebuilt smarter boundaries, they become even more formidable. They don't repeat mistakes blindly. They grow from them, and that growth becomes part of their leadership philosophy. They'll start to mentor others, teaching from their own missteps. They'll implement systems that protect their time and energy. They'll build careers and businesses that not only make a difference, but allow them to live fully and freely, the way they were always meant to. In the end, a Sagittarius pig in business is a force of thoughtful disruption. They don't just climb ladders, they redesign them. They believe success is best when it's shared, and that leadership isn't about power but about responsibility. Their combination of bold thinking and deep empathy makes them magnetic in meetings, trusted in partnerships, and unforgettable to clients and collaborators alike. If you work with one, you'll likely walk away changed, not just by what they built, but by how they built it. With vision, heart, humor, and a kind of gentle power that proves business doesn't have to be ruthless to be revolutionary. The dark side, when light turns to shadow. Even the brightest souls cast shadows, and the Sagittarius born in the year of the pig is no exception. While their light can warm and inspire, their dark side emerges when that same light is misdirected, when their boundless optimism becomes unchecked naivety, when their idealism blinds them to truth, and when their generosity bleeds into self-destruction. They are natural believers in people, in second chances, in redemption. But when unbalanced, this belief becomes a weakness. They'll offer forgiveness long after it's been earned, pour energy into lost causes, and stick by people who drain rather than nourish them. They don't just give, they overgive until their own well runs dry. They see potential where others see patterns, and that can cost them years of emotional peace. Their love of freedom, usually one of their most attractive traits, can also twist into something darker: an avoidance of accountability. When relationships or commitments begin to feel too heavy, they may run, not always physically, but emotionally. Instead of confronting issues head-on, they may ghost, distract, or disappear under the guise of needing space. They are not inherently dishonest, but they struggle when they feel cornered or obligated. They fear becoming trapped in something that doesn't reflect their truth anymore, and that fear can make them seem cold or indifferent. In reality, they are often torn between wanting to preserve harmony and protect their own autonomy. But instead of communicating clearly, they may vanish or shut down, leaving confusion in their wake. Internally, their emotional processing can be intense and delayed. They don't always express their wounds as they feel them. Instead, they absorb pain silently, trying to understand it, justify it, or even spiritually explain it away. They don't want to burden others with their suffering, so they keep smiling, keep functioning, keep pushing forward, until they can't. When their emotional dam finally breaks, it's not explosive rage. It's an aching, heavy sorrow that comes out in tears, silence, or complete withdrawal. Watching them fall apart is heartbreaking because it's so rare and so raw. It's the result of accumulated disappointments, swallowed frustrations, and the deep loneliness that comes from always being the one who gives more than they receive. Their self-worth is deeply tied to their usefulness. They often equate love with service, believing that if they're helpful enough, supportive enough, or wise enough, they'll be needed, and thus loved. But this makes them vulnerable to emotional manipulation. They attract takers, energy vampires, and those who prey on their softness. And because they don't want to seem cynical or judgmental, they often ignore red flags. They'll convince themselves that people will change, that their love will heal, that time will fix what's broken. But this relentless hope, when ungrounded, becomes dangerous. It keeps them stuck in loops, chasing dreams or people that are never going to deliver. They stay far longer than they should, not because they're weak, but because they believe too fiercely in the possibility of transformation. Their minds, while brilliant and curious, can also become traps. They are philosophical by nature, which means they are always questioning, always analyzing, always searching for meaning. But when life doesn't make sense or when pain has no obvious purpose, they can spiral. They may start to doubt everything, their choices, their relationships, their path. This existential doubt, combined with their tendency to overthink, can lead to a quiet inner despair. They may look fine on the outside, functioning, charming, even cheerful, but inside, they're drowning in questions with no answers. When this happens, they may retreat into fantasy, escapism, or spiritual bypassing as a way to avoid facing the raw reality of their own disillusionment. Another shadow aspect is their martyr complex. When they feel unappreciated or taken for granted, instead of setting clear boundaries, they may internalize the pain and try even harder to prove their worth. They'll sacrifice sleep, time, energy, even their mental health, all to be seen as good enough. But underneath that effort is a quiet resentment that grows like mold. They start to feel invisible, used, or unloved, but they struggle to speak that truth because it would mean admitting they've betrayed themselves by not saying no. And when that resentment hits its peak, they may either implode emotionally or cut ties completely, leaving others confused as to what went wrong. Ultimately, their darkness isn't about malice or cruelty, it's about misdirected love. They want to believe in good things, good people, good outcomes. But when they forget to include themselves in that goodness, when they give away pieces of themselves without replenishment, they fracture. And they fracture quietly. That's the hardest part. You may not even see the break until it's too late, until the light that once filled every room now flickers faintly behind tired eyes and fake smiles. And by then, they've already made the decision to pull back, not out of spite, but out of survival. To help them navigate their shadow side, they need grounding, clarity, and a deep sense of self-worth that doesn't rely on being needed. They need friends and partners who help them pause, reflect, and recharge. They need to be reminded that love doesn't require sacrifice to be real, that boundaries are not walls but invitations to deeper, more respectful connections. And most of all, they need to give themselves the grace they so freely extend to others. Because when a Sagittarius pig learns to protect their own light, they don't just shine, they heal. Life purpose, the journey is the goal. For Sagittarians born in the year of the pig, the purpose of life is not found in titles, trophies, or applause, it's found in meaning. That's the word that drives them, shapes them, and quietly pulls them forward even when the road is uncertain. They aren't here just to survive or play by someone else's rules. They're here to explore, to grow, and to make every chapter of their life feel like it was lived, not just passed through. From a young age, there's often a restlessness in them, a sense that there's something more out there, more truth, more beauty, more connection, more purpose. And they won't stop until they find it. But their journey isn't loud or ego-driven. It's soulful, sincere, and deeply personal. They're not trying to impress the world, they're trying to understand it. Their thirst for life is rooted in experience, not outcomes. They're the seekers, the wanderers, the ones who learn best by doing, by loving, by losing, and then doing it all over again with more heart and less fear. They crave experiences that feed the soul, wandering through ancient cities, reading books that change their worldview, falling in love with people and places that challenge their assumptions. They're always learning, about themselves, others, the world, the universe. Even their failures are fuel. Even their heartbreaks are guideposts. For them, the destination is never the point. The journey is the destination. And if they're not evolving, they feel stagnant, disconnected, lost. They're drawn to roles and vocations that allow them to contribute meaningfully without losing their freedom. They want to give back, but on their terms. Many find purpose in storytelling, whether through writing, teaching, or filmmaking. Others channel their depth into healing professions, becoming therapists, spiritual coaches, holistic practitioners, or social workers. Creativity is often central to their mission, but it's never creativity for vanity's sake. It's creation with a purpose. Art with a message, content with a soul. Whether they're running a podcast, filming a documentary in a remote village, or writing poetry that ends up changing someone's life, they seek to create bridges between hearts, cultures, generations, and ideas. Their work is often infused with justice, empathy, curiosity, and a longing to connect people to something bigger than themselves. Their path is rarely linear. In their 20s, they often feel pulled in multiple directions, trying things, failing things, starting over, questioning everything. They may feel misunderstood or behind their peers, unsure of what they're supposed to be doing, just certain that they don't want a life that's empty or robotic. Their 30s often bring deeper insight, sometimes through painful lessons. This is when many confront their people-pleasing tendencies, burn out from overgiving, or hit emotional rock bottoms that force them to reevaluate everything. But these breakdowns become breakthroughs. By the time they reach their 40s and beyond, something beautiful happens. They start owning their voice. They stop apologizing for needing space. They stop trying to fix everyone else. They begin building a life that reflects their truth, and they do it with grace, humor, and purpose. They are meant to live authentically, love wholeheartedly, and remind others that there's magic in being human. Their life is their message, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. They inspire not through perfection, but through presence. Through their ability to keep showing up even when they're exhausted. To keep believing in goodness even when they've seen darkness. To keep extending kindness even after being burned. They are emotional alchemists. They turn pain into wisdom. They turn doubt into discovery. They turn isolation into connection. And they do it not because they want to be heroes, but because they can't not. Even when life knocks them down, and it will, they find a way to rise again and again. But each time they do, they rise a little wiser. A little more tender, a little more attuned to what really matters. They learn how to protect their energy, how to walk away without guilt, how to stay soft without being naive, and in doing so, they become anchors for others. Guides, lighthouses, not the kind that shout, but the kind that simply stand, glowing in the dark, reminding you where the shore is just by being there. The ultimate life purpose of the Sagittarius Pig is to build a life that reflects their deepest values: freedom, honesty, connection, compassion, and growth. They are here to live as fully as possible, not in the pursuit of perfection, but in the pursuit of truth. And in doing so, they quietly give everyone around them permission to do the same. They are proof that you can be strong and kind, wild and grounded, idealistic and wise. Their journey is their legacy. And though they may never claim the spotlight, their presence changes lives in ways they'll never fully realize. So, next time you meet someone who's all laughter and depth, freedom and loyalty, fire and velvet, ask for their birthday. Because if they seem like a paradox you can't quite figure out, if they light up every room they walk into without even trying, if they make you feel seen while somehow still remaining a little bit mysterious, if they challenge your thinking and soothe your soul in the same sentence, chances are, you've just met a Sagittarius Pig. These people carry the kind of energy that's both grounding and electric. They're the ones who will sit with you under the stars and talk about the meaning of life, then drag you into a spontaneous dance party in the kitchen 30 minutes later. They're the rare combination of someone who thinks deeply and feels even deeper, someone who'll protect your dreams as if they were their own. There's a quiet intensity to them, hidden under a playful laugh or a shrug that says, everything's fine, even when it isn't. They don't need to be the loudest voice in the room to command attention. They do it through presence, through energy, through the kind of quiet confidence that doesn't need to prove itself. If they love you all the way. If they're loyal to you, they'll fight your battles even when you're too tired to. They'll remember what matters to you. They'll call out your nonsense, but in a way that makes you laugh and feel understood at the same time. They're the friend you didn't know you needed, the partner who makes the ordinary feel cinematic, the coworker who lifts everyone up without asking for credit. What makes the Sagittarius Pig so special is their ability to hold contradictions without breaking. They are fearless but gentle, curious but grounded, independent but devoted. They want freedom and they want to belong, and somehow, they make both possible. They don't fit into boxes, and they'll never stay in a mold that someone else carved for them. They rewrite the script. They live on their own terms. And if you're close enough to be part of their world, you'll find yourself braver, softer, and more inspired just by watching them be who they are. But don't expect them to explain themselves. They won't, not fully. They'll give you glimpses, through late-night confessions, through their art, through the way they show up for you without being asked. But a part of them will always belong to the stars, to the dream they haven't chased yet, to the version of themselves they're still becoming. They are, in many ways, a lifelong work in progress. And that's what makes loving them such an extraordinary journey. They're never stagnant, they're always evolving, and if you're lucky, they'll take you along for the ride. So if this description made you think of someone who loves hard, dreams big, laughs often, and walks through life like it's both a story and a mission, you might just be thinking of a Sagittarius pig. And if you see yourself in these words, then now you know, your complexity is your power. Your heart is your compass. And your soul, it was never meant to stay in one place. You were made to move, to love, to lead, and to leave something better behind. If this resonated with you, or if you know someone like this, don't forget to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and check the description for more Zodiac deep dives and ways to connect with us. We've got plenty more personality magic coming your way. Stay curious.